Losing my virginity to an escort. Losing my I'm a 23-year-old virgin thinking of using an escort, but having second thoughts. I'm in a western country, on vacation now, where prostitution is both legal and fairly inexpensive. I'm a 23-year-old virgin who has never had a girlfriend, and I'm starting to think that I never will, or maybe I will, once my sexual drive is no longer at its peak. I really want sex, and I think my high sex drive is making me focus too much on actually having sex, and not enough on getting into relationships. I feel very frustrated with myself that I've gone this many years without ever having a girlfriend or having sex. Should I just get it over with and use an escort? I don't have any moral problems with it, and I don't think sex is anything more than a deluxe massage, but will it disgust future women that I meet? Thanks. Do it, why not? Once you do have sex, you'll realize that sex is just that. It's sex. Nothing more. You'll be bad at first. Tell the girl that. She will understand and make it a good experience. And by no means should you tell a future girlfriend that you banged a hooker. And by no means should you tell a future girlfriend that you banged a hooker. I can't believe this has to be said. If you really want to, go for it. But do so with a clean consciousness equals no second thoughts. It's my belief that a foggy memory is a symptom of a clean conscience. I really want sex, and I think my high sex drive is making me focus too much on actually having sex, and not enough on getting into relationships. This isn't a problem. Just a word of advice. Do not mislead women into developing feelings so you can get in their pants. I feel very frustrated with myself that I've gone this many years without ever having a girlfriend or having sex. Because you're putting a high value on sex. Should I just get it over with and use an escort? If you're placing that high of a value on sex and you want to get that first time out of the way, absolutely. I don't have any moral problems with it. You just answered your own question here. But will it disgust future women that I meet? Under no circumstances are you required to disclose your past sex partners to any future women. Unless you're talking to a woman who is potentially serious girlfriend material and the number of your past partners is in some way a deal breaker for her. In which case you can say you've been with one woman. Sharing that she's an escort, I'd keep that to myself. As long as you were safe and there was no harm done, that's your business. Sex is different things to different people. You can't call it anything more than a deluxe massage. Because you have no idea how you'll really react to it yet. And that is exactly how you should approach this. You are doing something you've never done before. Your preconceptions of it will heavily influence the experience. If you are going to use an escort for your first time, spend a little extra and get someone good. Do some research. Talk to her first. Let her know you're a virgin and what you would like to try. Do your best to relax and have fun with it. You can only have the first time once. Might as well make the most of it. As for whether or not it will disgust future women, you don't have to advertise it. However, do get tested. This is very important. If sex is just a deluxe massage to you, then I'd say do it and get it over with. It'd be different if you connected to sex a bit more emotionally. But seriously, sex might just even be the best confidence booster you could ever get. I know that's what it did, and still does for me. Get over it, and pay for it. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's perfectly legal. You should be able to find a nice girl, and be in good hands. You do not have to share your first time with anyone, and if you do, you can always tell the truth. How she looked, you being nervous, but leave out that you paid her. In my opinion, everyone overstates how important the first time is. It's not more important than the first time you go to the cinema etc. That's just my opinion, and it's probably not shared by most. I would do it. Realistically, it's not that much different than finding some chick at the bar. However, if you do use an escort, remember they are there to fully please you and are very experienced. So your next sexual experience might not be as good. I got drunk and just did it to do it with some random dude. I knew it was going to be bad and awkward, but that's how I decided to lose it. I've never regretted it. As someone who has seen multiple prostitutes, I wouldn't do it if I were you. Seeking the services of a prostitute is the quick and easy way out, and it's going to be difficult, if not impossible, to develop healthy relationships once you realize just how easy pussy on tap is. My suggestion: to either see a psychologist to find out what's keeping you from connecting with women, or at the very least get out and talk to women your age. I promise you that you are going to be more fulfilled and have much more self-esteem 5 or 10 years from now if you have a girlfriend or two, rather than getting stuck seeing prostitutes. Why do people see prostitutes as disposable sex toys? You have never had sex. How can you say it is nothing more than a deluxe massage? You have probably just watched too much porn. Honestly, you don't know. What about the person who has to fuck you? Any thought to how they feel? I think if you stop thinking so selfishly, you are more likely to attract a mate. Using an Amsterdam escort to lose my virginity. I posted a similar post a few months ago asking for advice with the idea of losing my virginity in Amsterdam. Many suggested that I would be better off with an escort lady rather than just a quick girl in the red light district. Having looked into it further, I found an escort service that does different specialties. One in particular is with a service to shy virgin men. The women are trained as sex therapists, as well as sex workers. The agency can book a date with the client and arrange for a meetup in a hotel, where they'll give a sort of romantic rite of passage into lovemaking. It was mostly just an idea a few months ago, but I'd give in to going ahead with it. A bit of background: I'm 33 and never had sex. Throughout my late teens and up until my late 20s, I had severe mental health issues, from depression to anxiety. Through a combination of medication from my doctor and professional help and a lot of trial and error with social interactions, I overcame a lot of it. I can easily do a lot of things that would in the past easily terrified me. I can drive, go to work, do job interviews, have taken part in and performed in improv comedy shows. I'm continuing trained, lost a good bit of weight, and have competed in amateur martial arts fights. I had my first and only girlfriend when I was 29. We dated for a time, which was nice and very sensual. It didn't go beyond hugging and kissing. We still hang out with each other through mutual friends. At the age that I'm at, when female friends take about sex and dating, it often makes me feel uncomfortable, and I'm often afraid of letting it slip that I'm virgin. I hadn't had a vacation in years, generally because I don't travel that much. So I thought about going to Amsterdam and enjoying the services legally with consenting adults. Has anyone any advice on using escorts in the past, or advice on Amsterdam that they'd like to share? Rock on. Glad to hear things are working out for you now. My suggestion is to stay well clear of all the working girls. Great visually, but for your first, book something proper through a legitimate service provider, rather than risk it all with no ability to do any research. It's the right destination to start with though. As a Dutch person who has had his fair share of sex with sex workers, I might be able to answer some questions that you may have. First of all, I think this is a good idea. Given your age and your background, this is probably the most logical thing to do. I've known men whose first time was with a professional, and it has helped them become a bit more confident with the ladies, and of course it satisfied their curiosity. Where are you from? Are you from the US or someplace else? Now, I've heard of this service of sex therapists who specialize in dealing with virgins. However, they are very expensive. I agree that it's better to not do it with a girl in the red light district, especially in Amsterdam. The girls there are often looking for tourists they can rip off and try to get you off as quickly as possible, giving you less than what you paid for. Besides, the red light district in Amsterdam is overrun with tourists. And I mean that literally. It's sometimes even impossible to see the girls in the windows because of all the foreigners standing in front of them. So while not going to Amsterdam's red light district is a good idea, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this special service that you've been looking into. It sure is a nice experience to first go through a date with a girl before you get to the sex part, but like I said, it costs a small fortune. There's also brothels in Amsterdam and nearby cities where you can book an hour or more with a girl. Usually, these girls are into giving what they call a girlfriend experience, and if you tell them it's your first time, they will certainly take that into consideration and guide you through it. Ultimately, you decide at what pace you want to go through it all. Ask the host/hostess at the brothel which girl would be right for a first time if you're not sure yourself. So my recommendation would be going to a brothel. If you want, I could give you some specific directions or answer any questions you may have. The women are trained as sex therapists, as well as sex workers. I wouldn't put too much into this advertisement. They are likely just the same women in the window you'd find in the red light district, only they've been told to smile more. Actually, from experience I can tell you there's a big difference between the girls in high-end escort and brothels and the girls in the windows. Still, you are right about being wary of that kind of advertisement. There are some actual quality services around. Mainly the ones managed by an ex-sex worker and not a pimp. However, I don't know how to find them. I was thinking I'd make an awesome sex therapist for these sorts of situations, but I wonder what type of accreditation you'd need. We are glad that you got it right. From my point of view it is a great idea with infinite perspectives. I worked at an escort agency www.amsterdamhotescort.com and they were reprofessionist with a lot of beautiful girls specially trained for every situation. Escort agencies are a great opportunity to lose your virginity. In another way said, you have your discretion to. There's a really great documentary about one man's experience on a similar path as you. I highly recommend watching it to everyone, virgins and non-virgins. https://topdocumentaryfilms.com/virginschool/. I would not be pleased if a guy started doing those exercises from the clip. Terribly unnatural and unsexy movements. Go for it. Awesome that she will sort of teach you through it. Post a review after. That's amazing that things are better in your personal life. Just know your virginity isn't that big a deal and you should take your time. Finding someone who means something to you is great, but you can do whatever you want. Good luck. Just get an escort where you live or in the local big city. Just because it's not legal doesn't change the drive or morality to do this. Just because she is a therapist doesn't mean she knows how to handle you. Work that out with your normal therapist.